All right, I've been looking forward to this one for a couple of weeks while we set it up. This is one of the best stories in college hoops. I mean, you look at a Green Bay team takes last place in the Horizon League last year. They go out, they take a home run swing, and they bring a ball energy in as their head coach. They're in second place, just a half game back in the Horizon League with just a couple of games to go. Sonny Wicks, the first-year head coach at UW Green Bay, joins us now. And Sonny, I say a ball of energy. You take that positively, right? Because like I've been called that before. I take that as a compliment.
There's no such thing as bad juice, right? Like you got juice, you got juice. I don't care who you are. And I always say it doesn't take any talent to be negative, right? Anybody can be a critic and anybody can be a cynic. So we just try to spread a little more positive love and a little more positive juice in this world than is out there that most of us put into our soul. So yeah, I take it as a big compliment, Alex. Big compliment.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. But you use the word juice, and that's become your mantra, Sonny. Bring your own juice. BYOJ. How the hell did that start? How did it make it into your everyday vocabulary? Like, what's the origin of BYOJ, bring your own juice?
You know, it's funny. It's a great story, actually. I got back into coaching after I was working at Power Basketball Academy down in Arizona with Rex Walters at the University of San Francisco. Got to coach with my brother. And I made an intentional choice every single day to show up the right way. And I had run this race a little bit. You know, we got fired and let go at Northern Illinois. And I really had to do a deep dive just into what I wanted to get out of this if I was going to get back into college coaching. And I love building teams. I love seeing guys grow skill-wise, mentally, emotionally, socially, physically. I love seeing the development. But I also know this is a grind, right? It's a real grind. I mean, you got to push, and you got to push through hurt, and you got to push through pain. And there's highs and lows, as like there is with everything. But there was just an intentionality behind how I was going to show up working for Rex. And he's a ball buster, man. He's one of the best I've ever worked for. He's a tough nut. And I just showed up every single day with this relentless energy because that's what I could bring to the staff. I wasn't my brother was the longest tenured guy on that staff. He knew the ins and outs. I knew that I could show up with energy, effort, enthusiasm every day. And he introduced me to the team, like a couple weeks in after we'd been there for a little bit. We just kind of sat down and had a team meeting. And he's like, I'm going to introduce him as the Juice Man. So Rex really is the guy who came up with the nickname Juice Man. And I just kind of rolled with it ever since. And what's funny is when you have that intentionality about changing your life, like just the attitude at which you approach anything. Mm-hmm. Since I started bringing the juice, really, really intentionally bringing the juice back in 2016, good things have happened, man. I met my wife, got some kids, won a lot of games, got my first head coaching job, got to go back to the University of Wyoming with the tournament, got a head coaching job here at Green Bay. I attribute a lot of that to just starting to live consciously and intentionally the right way. And that's, to me, what bringing your own juice is. BYOJ stands for be yourself and obtain true joy. So if you just be yourself, man, whatever it is, be yourself at the highest level and you'll have true joy. You'll obtain joy in all facets of life.
I'm starting to understand how Green Bay in 1 year has gone from last place to competing for a Horizon League title, because I could listen to you speak all day, Sonny. I'd run through a brick wall for you. We've been talking for 3 minutes, dude. That's fantastic. So bring me back to last March, right? Like you mentioned Wyoming and the highs you had there in your 3 years there as an assistant. You get the call that the job in Green Bay is open. But I imagine, right, you're a smart dude, Sonny. You understood what a challenge this would be. I mean, according to Ken Palm, this was like the second worst team in the country last year. You come in, you're able to help with this amazing turnaround. And we'll talk about one of the guys that came with you, Noah Reynolds, in a little bit. But when you took this job, did you understand what the task at hand was, right? Like you're looking at declining attendance at games. You're looking at a 2-win in conference play team from a year ago, and you were able to come in and turn this around. So did you understand what the challenges would be when you took the job last March?
Alex, do we really ever understand, what we're going into sometimes? It's part of the gift and the curse of being a juice man is that you're just going to go in there with relentless energy and you're going to say, like, we're going to figure it out on the fly. And I've always said I've been one of those guys that kind of like, I'm going to leap first and go into the burning building, probably get burned on the way in a little bit, but you never know what you can do and who you can help or save on the way in.
Yeah.
And, you just trust. Yeah, I have a lot of faith, right? You trust, you believe, that, God puts things, your steps are ordered. He puts things in your life for a reason. And I know this, there's jobs you're going to get and jobs you're not going to get, right? And as an assistant at Wyoming, I'm not going to go get a big time job coming right at, you're just not. And so you're going to have to be willing to take some jobs that are tougher that most people don't want to just say, you know what, I don't want to go into that. I don't want to have that on me because it's a hit or miss, right? succeed or failure. Because if there's no chance at failure, then really is there a chance at success? I mean, that's not competitive at all. If anything's guaranteed in life, if I sit there and say like, hey, you're guaranteed to be a success right now, you're going to be like, that sounds really good, but it's probably not true. But if I said, I got an opportunity for you, you could either kill it or you could fail at a high level too. You're going to go, all right, I got to go earn this success. And that's kind of what it is you just jump into the fire and you find out where the bodies are buried and what we got to do to turn this thing around. And you just get a bunch of people going in the right direction. And there's this whole community wanted to see success. So they're battery packing you because they're helping you around every corner. They're giving, success leaves clues. I'll tell you this, Wardle, Kowalczyk, leave clues. I get in my office. I look at, I got file folders still sitting over here. I pull them open. There's literally game notes from back when Wardle was the coach here.
Wow.
I mean, literally detailed game notes, post-game recaps, scouting reports, all the way back. I mean, nobody cleaned them out back to the Wardle era. I'm like, wow. He won here at a high level. There's a reason why he is where he is. And so you just got to be smart enough to find the clues that lead you into the situation. But we never really know what we're actually getting into. And I knew this. If they offered me the job, I wasn't going to say no, and there wasn't going to be a stipulation. You're just going to figure it out.
Dude, that is incredible, right? Like, I take pride in being like the ultimate BSer, Sonny. Like, you just kind of admitted to, like, when you took this job, like, yeah, it's going to be tough, but I'm going to BS my way to it, and it's worked out all right for you, huh? Like, only a half game back with a couple games to play. So what's made this turnaround happen? You mentioned the community. Obviously, the players are the ones on the court getting it done. But a lot of these guys that are back from the team last year didn't know how to win at a high level, and you have done that so far in conference play. What has made this turnaround work for you, Sonny?
It's a fight, right? It's a fight every day. I say that you got to fight for your culture every single day. That's no small feat. There is a level of learned helplessness when you take over a program. I learned that at Missouri Western when I took over my first Division II job, is they had come off the heels of their worst 2-year stretch in program history. And you just take over where you get that whole mentality of, oh man, it's happening again, or this is how it's been, and that's learned helplessness. And you got to break that. And sometimes breaking that is just making sure you got the right guys in the locker room who don't have any memory of that. If we could all just be like Men in Black and neuralize you, and just get rid of your memory and tell you what you should think and how to believe and how to compete at a high level, that'd be a pretty easy hack. But
sure.
You just got in the middle of the summer, man. You got to fight for your culture every single day. When losing things happen, you got to address them right away. And it's a mental strain and a pressure that you put on yourself, your staff, your players to learn to compete at a high level every single day. Be consistent, right? Every single day. Be consistent in your approach and your ideologies. And then you just got to be available. Like the best ability a lot of times is availability. You got to show up. You got to show up and do the right work every single day. And if you could show up, do the right work, and then you can learn to serve and lead others, that's our culture code right there. That's our accountability code. Show up every single day with the right attitude, the right mind frame, and then do the right work, because anybody can do work, but you got to do the right work. And then you got to lead others, you got to serve others. And that's the fight. That's the fight every single day. So that's how you do it, but it's easier said than done, right? We have any coach that can have the ability to complain about their players, or they can complain about what they got. And it can't be who we are. There's a reality to the situation, but it can't be that we're just here complaining about what we don't have. We have to make it work with what we got.
And you've done that so far, 17-10 on the year in second place in the Horizon League. Noah Reynolds, I mentioned his name earlier. It's a kid you've been around a couple of years now. And I'm in Madison, right? So I remember when he initially committed to the University of Wisconsin, ends up decommitting and coming to Green Bay from Wyoming last year. He's ascended to one of the best players in the Horizon League, averaging almost 20 points a game for you this year, Sonny, in his first year in the Horizon. What's been special about his ascension to one of the best players in the country? Where has he grown the most?
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say best players in the country, because he's not only the best player in the Horizon, but he's one of the best players in the country. I mean, he's easily a top 40 player in the United States of America. And I think if you look early on, I mean, he was pressing a little bit early when we started the year, just because he carries a heavy weight on his shoulder. I mean, he knew what he was coming here to do. And he was going to get the ball a lot. He's going to be a high usage guy. But what makes him special is that his usage doesn't just translate for him. It translates for success. It translates for everybody. I mean, the mark of a great player is, can you make your teammates better? And he's leading the league in assists and points. Wow. So he knows that balance of scoring, when to score, and when do I got to set up. And he's so consistent in the locker room with the guys. I think that's what really, really drives connection, is when your best player's your hardest worker. guys that are showing up every single day, never hurt, always accountable, always in the fight. That stuff is a dream for a coach, to be honest with you. I mean, he holds the standard, lives the standard. And, you just got to look at the makeup of the man. I think that, like, our whole team, we recruited people, not positions. We were going to figure out where to play guys, but we recruited, kind of alpha competitors. And that's the makeup that we wanted to have: consistent, everyday, accountable human beings and alpha competitors. And then we'll figure it out if we get those right guys. And, what is shown right now is we got the right mix of dudes.
Dude, Josh Moon, who's the athletic director at Green Bay, I see why he made the phone call to you, Sonny, right? Like, I love that mantra, positionless basketball. And it's not that you play it, but, like, it's kind of the era we're in right now, right? Like, get the dudes that fit the system and then figure out where to play them. And that's the right mindset to have in 2024, especially in the era of NIL and transfer portal. And right when you're trying to rebuild something the way you have, it's ultra difficult. So it's super impressive. Your last two games in the Horizon League have been decided by 1 point. The game before that was an overtime game, right? Like, 8 of the 11 teams in the Horizon League this year, Sonny, are 500 or better in conference play. The parity in the Horizon League is off the charts, which I imagine leads to a lack of sleep for you as you get ready for each game day.
You're making me nauseous talking about it. I mean, there's no easy game in the league on any given night. It's a dogfight. And like I told you before we started recording here, there's great coaches. There's really hard schemes. Not everybody plays the same style of play. So on any given, on a Thursday, Saturday matchup, you could be playing a team that, presses the entire time and goes back to zone, or you could be playing a team that's stingy in the half court, plays man, and they all have different ball screen coverages. So it really makes you, really makes you earn your check as a coach and a staff. And then you got to really have guys that are dialed into plans, reports, prep. It means a lot to have teams that can just comprehend, especially late in the season, and carry stuff over.
Yeah, no doubt about that. A couple more for you, Sonny. Real quick, like, something weird and unique about Green Bay is you kind of have 2 home floors, right? Like, you play some games at the Resch Center, you play some games at the Crest Center. If I'm not mistaken, your remaining home games all at the Crest. What's that like as a head? I imagine that's probably something you haven't experienced before as in your coaching career, is having kind of 2 different home floors. What's that like?
No, really, we played neutral site games before at different spots, but yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I love the vibe of the Resch. It's an NBA arena. It's got suites up top. It's got a 4-panel digital replay board. It's a beautiful spot to play a home game, right? And ultimately, you've got to have a great competitive home court advantage. That's what you need to have success, because this league is, I think, 11th in the country out of the 32 leagues in home court advantage. I mean, there's the 11th in winning percentage on home floor. So it's you got to have it, right? And we protected ours at the Resch this year. It's going to be unique coming down the stretch because we just don't practice in the Crest. We practice in our practice facility, and we go play at the Resch. One thing I'd probably want more is if we could just get more practice time in places that we're playing. I think that's important. I think that carries over to shooting. But at the end of the day, you also have to be tough enough. And, part of our mantra is, if you're going to be a good road team, you better be able to go into environments that you're not friendly with and go play well. And that's just, part of the mental flip that you have to make. And so you can't complain about it, but you just know that if we're not getting practice time, neither is the opponent. We're getting more than they are. So at the end of the day, it's going to be an advantage for us anyways. But coming down the stretch, it's going to be nice to be in the Crest a little more confined in, packed in, and people right on top of you. Expecting big crowds this weekend.
Yeah. How about the Valentine's Day tournament, your finale at the Resch? It was a pretty packed crowd, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It was about 2,700. 27, and it was Valentine's Day, right, and Ash Wednesday. So there's a lot of things that people could have done, but at the end of the day, when you're coming down the home stretch and you need that support, we're going to have them this Friday, this Sunday. The women's team are doing the same thing. So it's going to be 4 games, back to back to really figure out where this thing goes.
Yeah. How about Kevin and his squad, right? The women's team always in competition. That guy's been a coach at a high level forever. What's the relationship like between you two?
He's a stud. I mean, he's an absolute warrior. He's a ball coach. I was just in his office this morning, probably sat down, talked 20 minutes with him, just because, he gets it. Like, winning is hard. The margins are very small. One game here or there, 1 point here or there, as you're talking about the numbers in the league. And it's keeping your guys fresh, your ladies fresh. But also that balance of, we got to push a little bit more. We got to get a little bit more out of you, because coming down the home stretch to win championships, the fight gets real, man. It gets real. And in this one bid league, you'd love to win the league, but you'd also love to win the conference tournament, because that's who goes. And so there's 2 championships that everybody's still fighting for. So you better not sit back too much and just relax. You gotta pump it up down the stretch. And that's where Coach Borseth has just mastered the art of getting his girls to play their best basketball in March, late February. And that's the goal of any program, is we want to have better players in March, not better plays. And so we just got to keep being real boring, Alex. Got to being real boring. The mundanities of excellence, boring stuff, man, right now.
Yeah, I bet you're always boring, Sonny. You seem like a really boring dude. Yeah, I bet. Last thing for you, and this is totally unserious, non-basketball note. Like Wisconsin transition for you, is the cheese and beer intake like way higher for you? What's it like been making the transition to Green Bay?
I'm not a big beer guy. I don't drink a lot of beer because I like the old fashions.
In a good spot for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm getting used to these old fashions. I'm partial to the sweet old fashioned with bourbon. But I don't know if that's right or wrong. I can just tell you it's what I like.
I don't know if culturally it's right, but that's what I do as well. So I'm going to give you the thumbs up on that.
Yeah, I'm just like, if I could do a podcast, I'd call it Bourbon and Basketball, because I love bourbon, I love basketball. I mean, those are 2 good things, right? And it's like being a wino. You just, you have an affinity for it. So while I have a little disdain of kind of muting the taste of the bourbon with the soda, I'm also growing accustomed to it because it is kind of refreshing in the summer. You don't really want, you want the Wisconsin old fashioned on a nice hot summer day.
I love it. How about cheese curds? Are you getting after those quite a bit?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got here, I probably overdosed on cheese curds. OD'd on those because every recruiting visit we had, because like, I want to try as many cheese curds as the next guy, but at some point there's a law of diminishing return, right? You can only eat so many cheese curds until you're tired of eating cheese curds. So I've taken about a 3 to 4 month hiatus of cheese curds. Probably recruiting season will kick up again. Recruiting season is big cheese curd season for me.
Well, Sonny, if you're down here in Madison for the state tournament in a couple of weeks, which I know you were last year right after you took the job, you let me know. We'll cheese curds on me, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time today, and hopefully you're getting ready for a tournament game that next weekend while you're down here.
Cheese curds on you. These better be high level cheese curds. I can't wait to see this.
We got the best in the state in Madison. I'll hook you up big time. Sonny Wicks, the head coach of UW Green Bay men's basketball, has them in second place down the stretch. Just a couple of games left in the regular season. Appreciate your time, brother. This is really fun.
Alex, honor, man. Appreciate you, brother.